welcome. I'd like to take this opportunity from the outset to thank you for joining together in remembrance of the September 11th attacks and to pay tribute to those we lost that very day, along with their families, loved ones, and friends who have suffered since that very day. It's been my honor to host this memorial service for the past 7 years. But this, the 19th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, brings new challenges that we've never seen before. And we join together for the first time in a somewhat unorthodox medium. Typically, this would be a live, in-person event with everyone joining together. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we find ourselves having to eschew that presentation and going to a pre-recorded format. Millions of Americans throughout this country are spending their September 11th similarly today, but we all know that the importance is to provide remembrance and reflection to those who perished. Sadly, this serves as just another example of what I call the new normal. Throughout this program, we will hear from a number of elected officials as well as local clergy who will provide us their recollections of that fateful day, as well as their ability to provide us reflections on the impact of that day. The past several months of quarantine and semi-isolation have given many of us the opportunity to reflect on the changes in our society caused by the pandemic, and it served to remind me of the upheaval that we witnessed in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, what many would consider the first new normal. There are a number of similarities that we as Americans can find between these two events. For example, how we gather together, and even whether we gather together, has become a significant question, not only with the pandemic, but in the aftermath of September 11th. In that immediate aftermath, many of us found it unsettling and, in fact, risky or even potentially dangerous to gather together in crowds. Sadly, I think we can all witness that similarity to this pandemic. Everyday life then and now has left so many of us feeling uneasy about our well-being, unsure about our future, and unsafe in our very own communities. Now, just as they did then, first responders came to the rescue and offered care and comfort, many giving their very lives in the process. Whether it was the police officers and firefighters who braved the crumbling Twin Towers to lead victims to safety only to be killed in the rubble of Lower Manhattan, or the doctors, nurses, EMTs, and so many others who cared for COVID-19 patients before succumbing to the virus that they valiantly fought to eradicate. We find heroes among our neighbors and friends, martyrs in our very time of extreme need. We need to honor and remember all those we lost that day, for we owe them a debt that we can only repay by rebuilding a world that they would deserve and appreciate. The new normal demands nothing less of us. So let us join together today to recommit to living up to the hopes and dreams of those we lost on September 11th, and to persevere and honor their memories in an effort to overcome our current pandemic and all the challenges that we as Americans will face in the future. Thank you for being here. And now it is my honor to introduce my good friend and our great town supervisor, Judi Bosworth, for her remarks.
Good morning, and welcome to the Town of North Hempstead's virtual 9/11 memorial ceremony. My sincere thanks to our town clerk, Wayne Wink, his staff, and our community services department for organizing this event. I'm sure everyone remembers where they were 19 years ago today. It was a day that began with a sense of confusion and shock as news quickly spread around the country about the attack on the Twin Towers. The overwhelming and unimaginable tragedy of what transpired in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania was felt across our entire country. Ultimately, 2,753 people lost their lives, the significance of which we strongly feel to this day. Families across North Hempstead were forever changed by the heartless events of 9/11. The 56 victims from our town were family members and loved ones, friends and co-workers, and our neighbors. Today, we honor the victims during this virtual ceremony and spend time reflecting on the incredible impact they had on their family members and loved ones. Those of us who work at Town Hall are reminded of those North Hempstead residents who perished that day every time we walk past the 9/11 memorial located outside our town boardroom. And next year, on the 20th anniversary, we hope to unveil a 9/11 memorial at Manhasset Valley Park that will include a large metal beam from the Twin Towers, along with a display including the names of our local residents whose lives were lost that day. While this day is marked by incredible tragedy, September 11th is also a day to remember some remarkable acts of heroism. The countless police officers and firefighters who risked their own lives to save others. The incredible heroes, New York's bravest and finest, who actually charged into the buildings when everyone was desperately trying to get out. And the heroic acts of the passengers on Flight 93, who saved untold numbers of lives by rebelling against their hijackers. Similarly, 2020 has been an extraordinarily unique year, and tragically, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken its toll on our nation. It gives me great comfort, however, knowing that there are so many heroes in our communities that have gone above and beyond to keep us healthy and safe during these challenging times. We owe our first responders, medical professionals, and frontline workers such a debt of gratitude for all they've done and all they continue to do. And on 9/11, we certainly recognize how selfless and dedicated these people have been. As we continue forward, especially today, we are reminded of how important it is to stand together as a country and as a unified community. Let us live our lives with compassion and generosity. We can never take for granted the love we share with those around us. We must strive to support our family, friends, and neighbors in times of need. I truly appreciate you all taking a moment of your day to join us in our support of the families who lost a loved one 19 years ago. To the families watching today, I hope that knowing your loved ones are not forgotten brings you some solace and peace. Let us remember them all.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my honor to introduce Alessandra Barlas of the St. Mary's High School Chamber Choir to perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
this time, it is my honor to introduce the members of the North Hempstead Town Board to read off the names of the victims of September 11, 2001, who resided in or grew up in the town of North Hempstead.
From Westbury, we remember Michael Boyle, age 37. Richard George Bruehert, age 38. Thomas Patrick DeAngelis, age 51. Wade B. Green, age 42. We also remember those who grew up in Westbury. David G. Arce, Richard A. Aronow, David J. Fontana, Anne McGovern, Thomas Strada. We also remember Walwyn Stewart from Valley Stream.
Today from District 2, we remember Robert J. Baierwalter, 44, Albertson. Michael John Cahill, 37, East Williston. Robert Joseph Fody, 42, Albertson. Arlene Eva Freed, 49, Roslyn Heights. Michael Helmut Hobb, 34, Roslyn Heights. Peter J. Langone, 41, Roslyn Heights. Joseph Daniel Maio, 32, Roslyn Harbor. Joseph E. Maloney, 45, Albertson. Raymond Marcus Nedblad, 31, Roslyn Heights. Douglas Ergay, 32, East Hills. Thank you very much.
We remember Janice Lee Blaney, Williston Park. Christopher Joseph Dunne, Mineola. Robert Thomas Jordan, Williston Park. Thomas Michael Langone, Williston Park. Michael Francis Lynch, New Hyde Park. Gerald Michael Olcott, New Hyde Park. Peter Owens Jr., Williston Park. Dipti Patel, New Hyde Park. Gregory Rita, New Hyde Park. John Anthony Spataro, Mineola. Mitchel Scott Wallace, Mineola. Donna Ann Wilson, Williston Park.
From Manhasset and Roslyn, we remember Rocco Kamaj, 60, Manhasset. Paul Regan Cassio, 23, Manhasset. William A. Chalkoff, 41, Roslyn. James Lee Connor, 38, Manhasset. Joseph Dermot Dickey Jr., 50, Manhasset. Robert Douglas Ethan, 37, Manhasset. Brett Owen Fryman, 29, Roslyn. Stephen A. Giorgetti, 43, Manhasset. Robert R. Husa, 51, Roslyn. Jeff Levine, 55, Manhasset. Christopher Quackenbush, 44, Manhasset. Donald Arthur Robson, 52, Manhasset. Frank G. Salvatera,
41, Manhasset. Michael H. Seaman, 41, Manhasset. Donald F. Spampanato, Jr., 39, Manhasset. Matthew Gilbert Viana, 23, Manhasset. We also remember those who grew up in Manhasset. John Iskian.
From Great Neck and New Hyde Park, we remember Christy A. Adamo, 28, New Hyde Park. Peter Christopher Frank, 29, Great Neck. Matthew James Grismowski, 34, New Hyde Park. Frederick Quo Jr., 53, Great Neck. Jennifer L. Howley, 34, New Hyde Park. Jonathan Lee Ielpi, 29, Great Neck. Richard Y.C. Lee, 34, Great Neck. Andrew Sturgiopoulos, 23, Great Neck. Joshua S. Vitale, 28, Great Neck.
Today, we remember those that were lost in District 6. Neil James Cudmore, 38, Port Washington. Timothy Colin Kelly, 37, Port Washington. Justin McCarthy, 30, Port Washington. Antonio Jose Rodriguez, 35, Port Washington. Koichiro Takahashi, 53, Port Washington. Dina Webster, 50, Port Washington. We would also like to remember John Pepe Solano Jr., 31, who was born and raised in Port Washington and a friend of mine.
One tradition that we are pleased to continue this year is the presentation of the poem The Truly Great by Stephen Spender. This year, we are honored to be joined by our Nassau County Executive Laura Curran to present the poem.
Hello, everyone. Nassau County Executive Laura Curran. I'm here at our beautiful 9/11 memorial here in Eisenhower Park, and it is my honor to share this poem with you. It's called The Truly Great, and it's written by Stephen Spender. I think continually of those who were truly great, who from the womb remembered the soul's history through corridors of light where the hours are suns, endless and singing, whose lovely ambition was that their lips, still touched with fire, should tell of the spirit, clothed from head to foot in song, and who hoarded from the spring branches the desires falling across their bodies like blossoms. What is precious is never to forget the essential delight of the blood drawn from ageless springs, breaking through rocks in worlds before our earth. Never to deny its pleasure in the morning simple light, nor its grave evening demand for love. Never to allow gradually the traffic to smother with noise and fog, the flowering of the spirit. Near the snow, near the sun, in the highest fields, see how these names are fetid by the waving grass, and by the streamers of white cloud and whispers of wind in the listening sky, the names of those who in their lives fought for life, who wore at their hearts the fire's center. Born of the sun, they traveled a short while toward the sun, and left the vivid air signed with their honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I ask that we all take a moment of silence, to remember all who perished on September 11th, and to also remember those who suffered in the days and weeks and even to this very day since. So please, ladies and gentlemen, a moment of silence. Thank you.
Every day, in ways large and small, 9/11 hangs in the air. It was a clarifying moment. America was under attack. Thinking back to 9/11, I remember the fear, the sense of invisible danger, but I also strongly remember the sense of unity, of a shared sense of resilience. We were back then all in it together. We all came together after 9/11 and began to understand that some problems don't honor borders or boundaries. With 9/11 during COVID-19 pandemic, we have a special challenge and wake-up call of how this unseen danger of the virus can be far more ominous, and solving it demands a global solution of unity, hope, endurance, resilience more than ever before. So this year, it's particularly important that we commemorate 9/11 with even greater vigor, to remember the lives lost and the heroism displayed, as with the pandemic, where we all called upon to face this common enemy. Another point, COVID-19 has brought us the enduring face mask. And just as we dare not allow the mask to conceal the many faces of the wonderful essential workers, those nice, kind, and considerate people who worked selflessly to save lives, so too on this 9/11, we must not fail to remember the amazing 9/11 first responders who literally gave up their own lives to save others. We also pause to remember the many grieving families who lost loved ones in the Twin Towers. Let us remember with empathy and heart that COVID-19 is posing unique challenges for those with post-9/11 trauma. Let's reach out to all of them and offer our love and condolences on 9/11. God bless America.
In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Dear friends and neighbors, greetings of peace and blessings. We are here today virtually, but together in spirit and prayer, to remember and honor the memories of the beautiful lives of loved ones who were taken away on the horrific day of September 11th, 2001. Like so many of you, I distinctly remember that crisp fall morning 19 years back. That was the day when strangers became the source of strength and comfort. We as a nation stood shoulder to shoulder with remarkable resilience and resolve. They're children and youth who will learn about 9/11 from textbooks and from us. They will learn from textbooks how 9/11 marked the time when the world changed. From us, they will learn how we as Americans face the challenges of living in a post-9/11 world, upholding the values of compassion and love. I would like to thank Town of North Hempstead Supervisor Judi Bosworth and Town Clerk Wayne Wink and their entire team, who every year make sure that we as neighbors and as one community come together to honor the lives lost and the heroes of 9/11. We lost innocent lives. We lost our brave men and women who ran in the towers as they were collapsing. Families lost their fathers, mothers, daughters, and sons, and we lost our neighbors and friends. We lost individually and collectively, however, emerged together as a nation with strength and dignity. And I wish and pray that we stay committed to remember and honor the heroes of September 11 with earnest determination to reject extreme ideologies. And may we draw strength from 9/11 spirit of unity and dignity to confront the challenges of this present-day society, where we make a promise every day that we will not let hate and bigotry win. Please pray with me. May God grant us the wisdom and the strength to love our neighbors and our community as prescribed to us in the divine scriptures. May we open our hearts and minds and become each other's keepers. I pray that the lasting legacy of 9/11 is not fear, but rather hope for a world renewed and transformed with compassion and kindness. Amen.
My morning routine. The sun is rising, preparation for the trading floor to open, coffee, and the New York City skyline. And in the background, for the very last time, would be the majestic World Trade Center towers. When the first plane hit, in frantic disbelief, I grabbed that remote and looked around the office for other witnesses, but it was business as usual. There was still nothing. A few moments later, though, in my periphery was another commercial plane, and it was coming down the forbidden Hudson River corridor and into the second tower. And this time, all doubt was immediately erased. In a millisecond, there was a shift from silence to chaos, from stock in markets to stock in humanity. And I watched in horror as people jumped to their death, and there was no focus on their race, color, gender, or ethnicity, because it was only a silhouette we could make out. They were way too far. The towers collapsed, and the ash and soot was released, and no one was spared. Everyone was encrusted. It was the birth of a community out of chaos as a result of hate. But it was nurtured with selfishness and sacrifice, bolstered with love, and touched with compassion. The loss was incomprehensible, but we, through the pain, we held each other and held on to each other. We mourned together and grieved in unity. And this city, our nation, and our lives would never ever be the same again. It's 2020, and 19 years later we are once again a community of chaos that's birthed out of hate. But the situation is different now, because we must confront the enemy within. For months the battle for the soul of this nation has been raging, and healing must take place from the unjustifiable and unwarranted death, from the grief and from the pain. But this time there is no hiding. There's no ash and no soot. We can see each other clearly, and it's up close, it's intimate, and it's personal. Everything is exposed. And as the world watches us as a nation, will we once again embrace each other? Can we rise above this and empathize and not alienate? Or will we be subjugated to destruction and loss because we chose instead rejection, condemnation, judgment, polarization, and hate? Will we continue to use 911 as a memorial of love, or will we continue to weaponize that number against our neighbor? The choice is ours.
It is now my honor to introduce Spencer O'Reilly from the St. Mary's High School Chamber Choir to perform America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plains. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot's dream that sees beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good
is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Before we conclude, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone who made today's program possible, including the Departments of Community Services, Administrative Services, Parks, Communications, and my staff. I'd also like to thank the Supervisor and her staff, as well as the Town Board and our local clergy for participating in this program. Finally, I'd like to thank Alessandra Barlas and Spencer O'Reilly from the St. Mary's High School Chamber Choir for their stirring renditions today. And I'd also like to thank Eileen Simmons and Brittany Wheeler from St. Mary's High School for arranging for Alessandra and Spencer's presence today. As we conclude this program, I would like to welcome and thank Michael Tedeschi of the Port Washington Fire Department, who will perform Amazing Grace as well as a medley of patriotic tunes. I hope this ceremony brings some measure of solace to you on this solemn day and throughout this difficult time. Thank you for joining us today.